Hi, I'm Jason, and this is the Cultural Breakdown. We got the weekend box office numbers in, and things are looking really bad for Disney right now. So, Insidious, The Red Door, has beaten Disney's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny for the number one spot, making $32.7 million. Whereas, if you scroll down in the article, it says Indiana Jones made $26.5 million at the number two spot. And globally, Indiana Jones had made 248 million. So that's about $50 million shy of just reaching its budget or its reported budget in its second weekend. And this movie needs to probably double that. So it needs to make at least $600 million at the global box office in order to be considered somewhat of a success. And I say to be considered somewhat of a success to mean they didn't just lose money at the box office, but right now with the way things are going, it's in doubt whether they'll even reach 500 million at the domestic box office. So things are obviously looking pretty bad. Now, this has been a project that was in the works for some time now, but after Bob Iger came back to Disney, he did announce that he did want to change things. He was talking specifically for Marvel because that's their bread and butter right now. But this applies to probably Lucasfilm and other projects right now because for Indiana Jones, there was some talk that Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character was kind of be like the soft reboot of it where it was going to follow her from now on and she was going to be the lead character. But following the performance of Dial of Destiny, that's really in doubt. I don't think they're going to continue the franchise with her. And if they do, it'll be like a severely reduced budget. I'm talking like less than $100 million budget if they're going to relaunch it with her. At least that would be the smart move to try to like do something small scale to see like how it works. But I'm really in doubt whether that'll actually succeed because no one really liked this Indiana Jones movie with Harrison Ford in it. And I don't think people will like an Indiana Jones movie without Indiana Jones altogether. I mean, it's bad enough he's a secondary character in his own movie, but I digress. And a lot of it, what Bob Iger is saying is like he wants to make like fewer projects or whatever and be more selective. And a lot of the times people will say like, oh, well, this is like superhero fatigue and stuff like that. But it's really not that simple. I mean, it's not just the fact that people don't like franchises or superheroes. I mean, this article from Collider that just came out is talking about this, where a lot of it is just bad movies, where you get some franchises that have hits and misses like Fast and the Furious, where this last one is pretty much a bomb because they spent so much money trying to make it. And then you got other ones like this that were, this was pretty much failed because no one wanted. I mean, the first one was okay, but I mean, it wasn't anything special, and they tried to capitalize on it, give it a bigger budget, and release it at a time when they said like this is going to be wiped out of the DCEU anyway. But then you have other movies like John Wick that was really successful. In fact, if you look at the box office for this last year, pretty much every top 10 movie is based off of a pre-existing IP. Some of them are already movie franchises, but you get like Mario, Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse. Those were all successful. Then you have other ones like Little Mermaid, Ant-Man and Wasp, Fast X, Transformers. I mean, those really didn't do good. And a lot of that just comes down to, are the movies quality? Do people want to go see them? I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to make its money back in its opening weekend. I mean, we've seen things like Aquaman. When that first came out, a lot of audience members weren't sure if that would be good. And I think it did like around 65, 66 million in its opening weekend. So not too great considering its budget, but it went on to gross over $1 billion globally because it had good word of mouth and there wasn't much competition coming out after it. Whereas Disney's Indiana Jones, you have Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer, and things like that coming soon after it. So it needed to make its money like in the first couple of weeks before that competitions are coming out. And now that can't happen. So it basically DOA right now. And I think if Disney was wise, they would try to do the DC approach. They don't necessarily have to be like DC where they basically announce we're resetting our universe and starting fresh. I think what Marvel should do at least is quietly shift their focus on their movies or the way they're making their movies. Do what Bob Iger is saying, where it's like you reduce the amount you're making. So instead of like 10 mediocre or crappy movies, you make like a few good ones and focus your attention on it, because just simply you just don't have the capabilities of actually doing a bunch of stuff that they're trying to do right now or put out the volume that they're trying to do. I mean, the VFX artists are already being worked hard enough, and then the writers and everyone else involved with it. I mean, you just don't have the personnel to do what they're trying to do. So yeah, reduce the workload and focus your attention on what works. And I think Marvel will do that. They'll gradually shift their focus and try to change like how their movies are made, and maybe they can actually work that way. because if they don't, they're just going to end up continuing to lose money, and eventually they'll stop making them because they'll say like, oh, it doesn't work, or it's superhero fatigue, but ultimately it's just them making bad movies. But let me know what you think in the comments. I mean, do you think the Dial of Destiny was kind of the final nail in the coffin for them and they're going to have to shift focus, or do you think they're going to continue down this path? Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, make sure you click the like button, share the video out there, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.